Hey guys. So today we are actually going to do a double day. It just happens to be Maria's day off, and so she would like to talk to us a little bit about herself and her journey. So this is unplanned, and I just invited her to join us. Right. Hey Maria,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. I'm at the park. It's a really pretty day.
Oh, it's such a pretty day out there.
Yeah, it's like about to sunset. You can't see it. I'm quite by the trees, but I'm gonna find a spot to sit really quick.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So, you guys, I'm inviting Maria to this live because she is an amazing, amazing gal and truly has made a lot of changes in her life. And I want to introduce her to you guys and hoping that she can tell you a little bit about herself and her journey. And, this is part of the whole idea of we are one. And many of us have similar journeys, and I bet you can relate to a lot of what Maria is saying. So I'm kind of excited about having her. And just kind of want to, I guess, Maria, can you tell us a little bit about, yourself, a little bit about your journey, like, kind of what's it been like?
Oh, it's been one hell of a journey, Cindy, if we're being real honest.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that you can't really prepare for. It's one of those things where like it's a journey, literally. Like there's no way to describe it. I've known about LOA now for like 13 years. uh, heard The Secret, and it kind of, a lot of it made sense, and then slowly started understanding that I always had this belief that we were connected with God and that we had free will and we were creating whatever we wanted because I was able to manifest specific people back way before I even knew that was a thing or a trend or get rid of third parties. A lot of times it was unconsciously or just by me really believing and living in the end. But yeah, the more you go down this, it's like an onion. We've talked about this. It's like a layer. Like it just you keep peeling back the consciousness layers, and you keep learning more and more and more. Right? I remember the first time. It was about 2 years ago. Someone had posted about free will not existing, and I remember just being like, "What? They have no free will?" And I was like. I always believed you could bring people back, but I didn't believe that you could, get a whole different version of them. I knew you could. There was like that limitation, right? Like they still had free will, but I always believed that love was the strongest force out there because whenever I'd come from love, everything always seemed to work out. But yeah, it was mind blowing. And then now, to the level where me and you are at, where we're like literally talking in our heads. I started having a Kundalini awakening where like I feel my head throbbing and like my throat throbbing and my groin area throbbing. Sorry guys, I don't mean, might be a little too TMI, but my hands are on fucking fire and I'm just like, what? Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. What is going on here? Yeah, so it's definitely hearing voices very loud and clearly. Like I hear you, having visions, closing my eyes, understanding that like you're just in and out, like you're astral projecting when you're sleeping, just all this crazy thing, these things that I didn't not crazy, but things that I never imagined.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's been definitely been a journey. And then accessing God's state for the first time. Remember when we were on the phone call that one time, at least in full extent. I think I had little mini micro moments before that, but whoa, was that intense and awesome, but scary at the same time.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's definitely been a journey, and it's been very humbling and really great to have someone like you show me the way and the way I've transitioned in just the last few months compared to like the we met what end of January, I think, early
Mm-hmm.
February, and I transitioned a little bit, but when we got closer, like the last few months, like oh my god, like as well as I do, the shifts were just huge, and I was just
Huge.
like yeah, and I'm just like Cindy, you're doing this right, and you're like and I'm like, or being on the phone with you and not having to know the answer, like I literally answer myself, and I'm just like okay,
That's it.
it's just yeah, it's like being on ayahuasca or I don't know. I haven't done ecstasy since I was younger. I've never done shrooms, but I assume it's like the similar
This must be
experience. It was,
similar. Yes.
oh my God, I've even told you because I did, Aya last year twice, and I just feeling those same kind of moments, but obviously in a more controlled environment and like able to shift in and out of it easier. It's just really cool to experience that without that. So It's, you know,
Definitely. So would you say that it's almost like a third eye? Your third eye is almost way more active um, without Aya. It's almost as if you're on Aya but not, right? Right?
kind of, yeah, I would agree. Like, it's always been there, I think, to some extent, but maybe not to the expansion that I'm at now. I think understanding what's actually happening to me now versus where before things would happen, it was just like, whoa, that was weird, or was that real, or, you know, like double guessing things, you know,
Yes.
or not understanding. But yeah, I definitely think your third eye starts to open. And I know there's more to this. Like, this isn't even like
This
barely
is even
scratching.
scratching the surface. Yeah.
It's exactly what I was thinking. You just finished my thought. Yeah, no surprise there, Cindy. Like, even earlier today, I was asking for a friend something to Cindy, and I was like, I told her, like, hold on, let me ask Cindy in my head, and I'll find out for you. And it was like we confirmed it when we got on the phone a little bit before. Yeah. So
So it's like we activate telepathy. We
yep.
activate clairaudience. We activate clairvoyance. We activate so you gotta want this because it's gonna happen. It's once you understand that you're on the other side of the veil and that you're the intelligence behind everything, now suddenly you have a connection not just to me, but to everything in the universe. Right? And you can I mean, Maria, you can attest. I mean, how quickly have people shifted?
Oh, crazy fast. And I mean, I'm not going to say I don't have my off moments. I do. We're human, right? Like, you're going to have those, but it's easier to bounce back. And then the other thing for me is just like literally feeling. Like, I've always kind of been an empath, but now, like, how many times have I called you and I'm like, Cindy, that was super intense. Like, after talking to someone, like, I feel like I literally take all their pain on. And I'm like, ah, and it's really intense. But then when you finally make peace with it, it's like you dissolve that in you and you dissolve that in the other person, which is kind of really cool. I mean, but like you said, you just got to let it pass through you, because if not, you'll hold on to it, and then you got the ickiness of it. You know, not that anything's bad or good. It's just sometimes those heavy energies are a little, you know, they can mess with you a little bit, make you feel a little emotional, and kind of turn
Absolutely.
up old
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 stuff.
uh old stuff that you need to obviously let go, or you wouldn't be around that person. That person wouldn't be acting that way, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
100%, yeah.
Um, I guess this is the question I'm going to try and ask everybody because it's going to help me as well.
Okay.
What do you think are the major differences between myself as a coach and, like Chase as well, because he's obviously on the same page,
Yeah.
or us as a coach versus, other programs?
Oh God, huge difference. I think there are coaches. I think there's 3D coaches and 4D coaches. I think me and you have talked about this. There are some great people who, I think, depending on where you're at, and there's many multiple ways to do it. As Chase would say, there's many ways to climb the mountain. He was saying that today, which is kind of
So
funny, but I
true.
like when he says that. And I think there's no right or wrong for everyone. It's a little bit different. But the huge difference with you guys is, like, I notice these instantaneous shifts. Like, I know you're imagining for me. Like, it's just an instinct, and you were able to shift me in so many ways. To, like, remember how negative I was, like, not negative, but how many doubts I had, like, back in January, to whereas now, like, they're almost completely gone. Between you and Chase, it's like I've shifted so much, and I've realized that I had a story for a story. Like, recently I was on a call because I'm doing the Love of Your Lifetime with Chase, and I rewatched the video where we're talking about stuff we're struggling with. And I listened to myself, and I was just like, oh my God, I had a story for a story for a story. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. It just, you, it's these instant shifts. And yeah, you can revert back a little bit, but it gets to be easier. And I think the thing with, okay, so the big difference with 3D and 4D coaches, not that there's any right or wrong, but there are people like, and I'm not dogging on anyone, like Jasmine Shear or um, Roxy Talks. I think they're great coaches. Shelly Bullard, I would say, is like kind of on the cusp of you guys. Not maybe she knows what you know, but doesn't teach it. She's like kind of like a middle coach, I'd say.
Yeah.
But the difference between the 3D and the 4D coaches is the 3D, you got to do so much. Like, if you look at, like, Agnes Vivarelli is a great woman. Like, I think she was the first person that got me started on this. It's like you have to do meditations, affirmations, you have to do a gratitude list, you have to be scripting all the time. It's like you have to do so much just to keep yourself balanced, because you're doing it from a 3D where it's a lot of work. And as you know, because before I even found Neville, I've manifested insane things, as you know, and
Yes.
because we've had deep conversations about this. It's just that it takes more work and it takes more time. Like, I remember before, like, understanding Neville, like, I would still get the job I wanted, the guy I wanted, but it would be like months, years later sometimes. Sometimes it was instant, sometimes not. It was kind of like hit or miss. It was hot or cold. I always got what I wanted in the end because it still works. You know, even Neville's concepts, I think, sometimes can be a little 3D.
Yeah.
I don't mean to label him, but I think you just get to a higher level of
You
consciousness, and it's
transcend
just,
it.
yeah, and it's instant. Like, the best thing that you taught me, and I was actually talking about this on another call with Chase today, like coming from your heart and just accepting something when it comes up. I'm not saying it's not going to pop up anymore, but like versus fighting it, like how many times have I told you, like, I've shifted people like this, people like trolling me, I think once in like a Tony Robbins group where we were all talking about stuff. And like the person I just came from, I was fighting them a little bit, but once I came from compassion, boom, the person's like, wish you well too. And I was like, the
Defenses
person was
down.
calling me, yeah, the person's calling me like an a-hole, like beforehand, you know? And it's like, you know, I get it. You're human, you're going to react, but it's you, the shortcut to this is not condemning people, as you say. It's coming at them with love, because you can either, you condemn, or what's the other word you use? I can't think of it right now.
Redeem.
Redeem, yeah. Like, I've noticed when I redeem people, it's so much faster. It's like you don't have to revise, you just accept it, because everything's you. It, like you say, like, everyone's you on display. And like, I don't know, there's so many examples of this, like, you know, like, like, I thought my dog had heartworm. You were able to help me collapse space and time, and like literally I, like, you know, I still had doubts about him might be having it, but then, you know, we created where,
You
like, my
held the
dog was
space.
we were on the phone, and my dog was literally behind my butt sniffing, and a second later he was like on the other side of the room. And you had showed me that
Teleportation.
we had shifted to another state, and literally the next day my dog was showing signs of heartworm. And literally, my dog's on the other side of the room, and then I got a call from the doctor the next day saying, the test came back negative. And I'm just like, holy shit. It was just like, remember when I thought he had fleas? Still took necessary precautions, but within days I got rid of it. I haven't seen one flea in my house. I did in the beginning,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like, why sit there? I could sit there and I could do 3D coach, or not even 3D. I could just live in the 3D without manifesting and try to get rid of that shit. Or I could just manifest it going away. Yeah, you can still take
Yes.
precautions if you need to. And I think it's good to kind of do it just to clean up just in case. But yeah, like, there's such a difference between 3D and 4D coaching. One is like, it's like, it's like running on a treadmill and eating cheeseburgers and not getting anywhere. And
Yeah.
then the other one is like literally jumping into a completely different body where you weigh a different weight. Like,
Yes.
it's just so instant. Like, remember when I was on the scale and it was saying I was 12 pounds lighter, and I was like, what? That's
Yeah.
bullshit. And I
Yeah.
jumped down again, 12 pounds lighter. What? Jumped down again. This is impossible. And then later on, what did it say? You only lost 5 pounds. I'm like, what? And then I realized, I'm like, I was jumping in and out of states in every second. So,
Yes.
like, you literally can wake up and weigh 40 pounds less if you believed it, and no one would notice any different. Like, because you believe it that much in your heart. That's how easy it is. Like, we overcomplicate it. Like, we just need to live from the end, kind of live in that state. And then I think the most important thing is notice what's shifted. And when something's shifted, boom, it's done. Like, just trust, let it go. Didn't I tell you, like, the other day I don't remember what I was trying to manifest. Oh, when I did the messed up with the paperwork. We won't go into the main details,
Yes.
but
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
sent some paperwork that could get me in legal trouble. That's all we're going to say. And I was really worried about it because I sent the wrong legal papers, and it looked bad. It wasn't necessarily a bad situation, but I literally had to go in my mind. I did this at my dad's house. Well, the paperwork that I had sent. And I remember I went in my mind, I was remember I was really negative and
For
like
you.
freaking out about this. We didn't talk about it, but I told you afterwards. And I'm like, okay, I need to talk to Cindy. Cindy's busy. What am I going to do? This is legal stuff. I'm like freaking out. And then I'm like, okay, no, you're God. Okay. So I went back, pretended I was at my dad's house, and revised in my head. I imagined that I deleted that me and my brother had a conversation because my brother was there helping me with it, and that we caught the mistake, and that he fixed it or I fixed it. And then I kept triple checking the work before I sent it. And I actually did it on my computer, and I also did it in my phone, like, because I was using a scanning app to send these documents. And I actually did that multiple times. Even when the lady called me the day after I had sent the documents and noticed the errors or the wrong paperwork, her tone was normal, and I was still freaking out, and it still worked out, and like everything got approved, and everything got situated, despite the fact that it could have gone the wrong way. But I chose to remember who I was in that moment, and just went back and just, changed it. Like, I jumped to a different state. You can literally go back and just change it. It's that simple. And I think it's most important, if you are revising, to kind of go And I don't think I would have done that. I could never manifest that instantaneously without you, you know? And it's like, it's literally like, we're talking like legal trouble. Like this could be seen as fraud. You know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't intentional. It was just like a mistake on my part, me sending the wrong information. And I could have, I remember thinking, do I email her? And I was like, no, 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 that proves that you did something wrong. Don't, just trust. The
Yes.
biggest thing here is trusting and just knowing it's done, kind of, sort of. But also having to forgive yourself. Like I had to forgive myself for messing up, right? Like I had to come from love. So yeah,
Yes.
just a lot of instant manifestations, a lot of cool stuff. Like it's just, it's like manifesting on speed, to be honest. Like if you
Yes.
can, not that I've ever done speed, but it's just, it's so instantaneous now. It's so much easier. It just, yeah, there's so many things we don't understand. But like I said, these coaches are great people. Like even Joseph Alley, I think, is a great coach. He's kind of one of those borderline coaches that could go 42, but I think he sticks more to the 3D coaching. But why make it hard for yourself? There's no point. It's
Yeah.
literally so easy. And the thing is, like I said, the biggest thing for me, and I think I already said this, was how much I have shifted in just a few months compared to 2 years. I have coached with Agnes Vivarelli. I have coached with Joseph Alley, not often. Agnes Vivarelli, coached like 2 or 3 times, but she would like yell at me half the time and make me feel bad, like I was doing something wrong. Make sure you're doing your meditations. I even coached with who's that other lady, Veronica Isles. Like she just basically told me you need to let go more, and I was like, what the fuck does that mean? You know what I mean? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean I gotta let go more? And then, you know, I wouldn't say I've coached like a million people, but you know, throughout 2 years, I've, you know, talked to different coaches. But yeah, Joseph Ally gave me pretty good advice, decent advice, I'd say. And then I really love Jennifer Romdeo too. She's great. The
Yes.
blog is amazing. If you mixed her and Cindy together, you're like fucking unstoppable. So
I
another
love
thing
Jen.
I recommend for people, and I think, I mean, I know this isn't technically 4D, but like creating general beliefs or umbrella beliefs. Caleb,
Yes.
that kid from I forgot his name, his page. You know, I'm trying to give credit to whoever talks about it. He talks about making umbrella beliefs, and those work because I believe my negative thoughts don't manifest anymore
Hmm.
because they just don't. And I know it's not good to look at anything at good or bad or creating like beliefs like nobody ever leaves me or
Well,
everything's always
it's
working out for
still
me.
it's still accurate because think about it. If nothing is good or bad, then saying your negative beliefs don't manifest anymore is the same thing because nothing is good or bad. So it
True.
doesn't conflict. It actually kind of goes along with it. You know,
Yeah,
it's
and
why it's
oh,
working. Yeah.
yeah, and I just say like only my positive thoughts believe or manifest, or it doesn't matter how I'm feeling or what state I'm in. And a lot of this is from listening to Jennifer or just like other coaches or other people. Yeah, there's lots of great ways to do this, but it's great. Like how many times have I told you I'm complaining about something like, and it works out,
It works out in
even
your
when I'm
favor.
not looking for, even when I'm not trying to manifest it. I'm complaining about it, and somehow it still ends up the way I need it to be. Like the
Yes.
day I locked myself out of my house, remember? Did I tell you
Yes.
that story? I think I did. So I was at my house. These are all simple stuff, but like I'm at my house. I locked myself out by accident. I literally had no key for the front door. Something told me, call your brother. I called my brother Tom, and I'm like, Tom, I locked myself out. Are you going to be able to open the door? I don't know. Give me a picture. But I take a picture. I'm a freaking out. Damn it, I'm going to have to spend money on a locksmith. I don't have enough money right now. You know, my head's going round and round and round. I'm like, fuck that. Sorry, I'm swearing too much. I need to be careful because this is Facebook Live. But I don't think anybody would report me. But at least please don't. I promise to be a little more PG-13. You know, like I locked myself out. What happens? My brother comes over. I remember I was on the phone with a friend that's in this group too, Sharnique. Hi, Sharnique. I love you. I know she's going to see this at some point. And she's like,
Yeah.
girl, why are you worried? Just see what happens. And I'm just like, but Sharnique, I don't know. You know, I'm in the moment. My brother comes over. Guess what? I didn't imagine him opening the door, but he did anyway. It worked out because I believe everything's always working out for me, and I believe my negative thoughts don't manifest. So
Yes.
I mean, it's that simple. Like, create general beliefs that are like, Caleb kind of says, like, it's like a good foundation to have to kind of catch you when you're in those human moments. And start believing that your negative stories, your negative states don't manifest. They just don't anymore. Like, they don't get in the way, or, you know, everyone I love stays with me. There's so many, like, good ones you can create, or, you know, I'm shifting every day. I don't know, I'm a new person every day. You know, every time I cry, I manifest miracles. That's a Jennifer Romdeo thing. Stuff like that. Yeah.
She's
I
right.
definitely, honestly, like she's a great coach too, but she doesn't, you know, I don't have as much access to her. She's a little bit different. But
Yeah.
she's a great person if you read her blog. But you and Chase have just been, Chase has been Abdullah, like door slamming my
Yes,
ass,
we said
like
that. It's Neville and Abdullah back together again.
yeah, you're Neville, he's Abdullah. Well, actually, you're I
I'm
think
the
you're
Neville
manifesting.
goddess. So I am Neville in a female form. So now I'm taking all of the Neville teachings and feminizing them. And so now you have a more holistic picture, which feels like it's beyond Neville because it is. In a good way. It's the
100%.
other side. It's the other side. So Neville, during his time, he's a phenomenal teacher. He was definitely way out of his time, but he was teaching to that time period. And so as a male and from a male perspective, it's perfect. But if you understood as a female Neville concepts, now you're on another level because females actually are controlling of 6D, okay? Not just 5D, 6D. 6D then trickles
Oh,
down as a
six
template,
dimension. Okay.
goes down to 4D and then to 3D, which is why women or feminine energy actually control 98% of the outer reality. And that is why, as women, we have a lot more control than we realize. And it's also interesting to find out that, our feelings are the most important aspect of our development because it's what's controlling what they're seeing out there. That's not to say that males cannot create. I'm saying males come at it from a oppositional perspective, a even, if we're odd, they're even perspective. So they're rational and they are the ones that are having to learn the feminine perspective in order to create. But you have a difference in coaching because you'll have people that are process oriented. Those are the male ways of thinking. And so that's the difference, I would say, right?
Yeah, analytical versus yeah, like I kind of like having like with doing the love of your lifetime. My biggest thing is I like having a male's perspective on it. Like,
Yes.
because he's like not going to commiserate. Like his biggest thing is feel what you're feeling, but don't commiserate. Like we're not going there. Like door slam. Like
Yes.
it's awesome, but it's in a nice. I mean, and he's a little too hard on himself. He's like, I know I can be a little abrupt. It's like, hey, you ain't that abrupt. I'm Greek. I'm used to this shit. Like, let's bring it on. Come on, bring me some more. I like being door slammed. It's you need it. Like, if you have a coach that's just like, it's okay. Oh, that's not. I mean, maybe for some people they need that, but come on, guys, we're past this. We're not 5-year-olds. We don't need someone to hold our hand. And at least that's not my style. I mean, that might work for somebody else, but how's that going to get you to snap out of it? You need shock. Like, I'm a big Tony Robbins fan. This man swears like no one's business. F this. And, he did a documentary where the guy wanted to commit suicide and he's like, how do you like your F in shoes, your red shoes? He was doing it to break his pattern. Like,
Yes.
you need to break that. And whether it's a door slam or saying something abrupt or something funny or, you know what I mean? To get the person out of the state, to kind of get them to wake up.
Yes. Yes. It totally is. It's different. And I think that, what do you think about being the intelligence behind 3D? Because like no one ever really talks about that. Like in terms of
Intelligent.
3D being a material veil. Um,
You mean being the person who animates it all, like the director,
yes.
CEO,
Yes.
like
Like
the
now that you
producer?
can actually see it.
Ooh, I think so. Here's something like, as long as I'm kind of staying connected and being more present and reminding myself that I'm animating it all, it's much easier. But if I get too caught up, meaning forgetting that people, because we've been doing it the opposite for how many years, right? So you got to remind yourself. It's like growing a muscle in your brain. Like, okay, no, I'm in control. No, 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 you're my creation. It's amazing to watch because you're just like, okay, I don't care you're yelling at me. I don't care that this happened. It's just being more indifferent to it, being a bit more neutral, and just kind of, it's easier to forgive what's happening in front of you if it's something unpleasant. And nothing's not really right or wrong, right? And even when I'm getting reactive in these moments with people, sometimes afterwards I feel bad. I'm like, oh, they're me. Like, why'd I do that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, literally, it's the entire world on display. It's you. It's your projection, regardless of what you think. Like, oh my God, a bombing in the world. How can that
We
be me?
created
It's you.
it.
Yeah, it's you. It's all of it. And I love how some of people will be like, this is me, but that's not me. No, there is no. 5%, 2%, 50% me. It's either all or nothing. You either go in all wholeheartedly. And I think we don't fall back asleep on purpose. It's just you go back to old conditioning. So it's just, you just got to work that muscle. And the more you do it, the more you start to realize it. There's been so many times, even before we met, I would be at like a cafe, like working on the internet or whatever, and seeing all these people talking and being like, realizing like, oh my God, like I'm doing all this. Like even right now, like if you look around, right, like I'm just as an example, right? I'm at a park. There's people playing back there. There's cars. There's noises. There's that sunset. Well,
That's all you.
the sunset's
Yeah.
really pretty. I just wanted to show
Yeah.
everybody that that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That's me. That's my consciousness.
Yeah.
100%. I'm animating this whole thing. And the only thing that's alive right now, like I've kind of already known this, is like what is happening right now. The only thing that's alive to me right now is me and you and this. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else doesn't exist unless I put my
Mm-hmm.
consciousness on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us get stuck in the negative, and it's easy because we like these moments. Chase was actually talking about this today. They can be so real, right? We give it all the tones of reality, and we get stuck. And you made a beautiful sunset. Oh, thank you. um, sorry, someone wrote something.
That's
Like
right.
it's like you get so stuck in the story. Like you okay, so you can imagine your future. Well, there's no future, right? There's only the present now. You got to remind that like nothing exists in this moment outside of me and you and what I'm seeing. Like if I'm replaying an old memory that really hurt me, you are literally bringing that back to you. You have a choice. Leave that memory behind. You can revise it, you can forgive it, you can send it love. Like you can always revise it, but sometimes revising it, as you know, isn't always effective unless it's like I feel like if you
If you accept
revise
it.
and
If
yeah,
you accept it, then the revision
accepted and
makes
loved it.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if it's in the moment before you've created all these stories, you can easily flip it. But it is important before you even do that to love and accept it. Be like, okay, this is a part of me. Maybe I don't like how I'm feeling, but I'm going to bring compassion to this moment. I'm going to bring understanding. I'm going to bring forgiveness to myself and the other person or whatever the hell's going on. And then you literally change it like this. And then, like, who cares what happened? You can change anything.
That's
You
right.
literally can. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I went back and changed paperwork. Like, I recently, when I was doing something, I told you I literally jumped, like, I was scripting something that I was doing for another course that I'm in that I was trying to finish. It was like one of the Shelley Bullard courses, and I'm scripting. And then I looked at, before I started, it was 11:18. And then I looked down at the clock like 10 or 15 minutes later, and it said 11:17. I was like, what the? I jumped back a minute in time. I've never done that before. It's like, and I know I shifted states, and I was writing stuff that was emotional, but I think it helped me shift to a me that let go of all that stuff I was working on. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
just, it
And
really,
you have a very interesting story that I want to share with people. So,
sure.
one of the things that I did is that, like, like I was scripting before I knew scripting was a thing, right? You actually managed to switch states, teleport your. Do you want to tell people about that?
Oh yeah,
And we
are you
just figured it out, like what
7 years,
happened
the
together.
7 year ago story in New
Yeah,
Orleans? Okay,
yeah.
I'll tell the story. So me and Cindy, so what happened was, just to explain what was happening, about 7 years ago when I was in New Orleans, I think that was 2013, I was there with a couple girlfriends on a trip. And at the time I had what you would call a specific person, somebody I was trying to manifest back, but I didn't understand things any near the level where I'm at now, guys. Okay. What happened was he was already dating someone else. I was really sad. I was really missing him. And I was just like in pain, you know. And I think me and a girlfriend were talking, me and my really good friend at the time were talking about, she's like, yo, you should just tell him how you feel, blah, 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 3D bullshit that most people would tell you. And I remember we were at a bar in New Orleans. I think it was a jazz bar. I'll never forget this. Like, it's just so vivid in my mind. You guys, I missed him so, so much and wanted him with me that I literally started to imagine him in front of me. Like, I just gave him literally all the tones of reality, the most I've ever done in my life. Well, I've done it other times too, but in this moment, I literally did it so much that he materialized into an actual person and he was in front of me. It may have been just a couple milliseconds or maybe less than 30 seconds. I don't remember the exact extent. I remember just looking and being like, he is not in front of me right now. No way. Like he was there with us in New Orleans. But because I started to doubt it, it went away.
Hmm.
I could have totally just jumped into a state where we were back together and he was there with me. but because I didn't understand these things, and I think I brought this up to you recently, and you're like, "Girl, you shifted to a state where you guys were there," and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like I did, you know. It was pretty amazing, and I like that I did this way before I even knew Neville. So I know these things are possible. You can literally materialize something out of nowhere.
In
Like,
air.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I, if I don't mean to bring up Jennifer one day if you don't mind, but on her one of
Yeah.
her last podcasts, she talks about how she like manifests. I think is it a certain drink she likes. I don't remember if it was chocolate milk or something. She manifests or her favorite tea. I have been trying to manifest chocolate milk. That's my thing. She has manifests her favorite iced tea out of thin air into her refrigerator.
Hmm.
You. I mean, I did it with a person. Like,
Yeah. Or like we
it's
do
all.
it with business cards or things in our household. It always happens. And like for the longest time, John keeps asking me, how did they get there? And I would always say, like, no. So finally it was my turn. The business card appears, and I ask him, how did it get here? And he got to answer, finally be on the receiving end of that experience and be like, I don't know. And we were even at that point. But again, it really is. It's like, I think that's the message that I'm trying to convey to people. See, in this world, if we're upholding the illusion, we are upholding our own suffering. And if you guys don't understand that you have the ability to stop and change it instantly, and that it has everything to do with you and not an outside world, then it changes the trajectory of every person that you meet, see, in every instant. And so, and then the more you get adjusted to being one with everything, you find your universal dominion. And then, like Maria said, it's instant. It's instant, and you manifest things out of thin air. So, if we can do that, why would we uphold things that don't make sense? Why would we uphold outside powers? Why would we uphold outside stories? Why do we, why do we even do that when the power is your human vessel coupled with your heart and your mind and your power to define the next blank moment? And that's what everybody here is talking about. We can define the next moment. We can enter a state easily. So why would we uphold things like, oh, we're not going to survive COVID? What are you talking about? Like, come on.
Yeah. Oh, I know. When I was focusing on it so much more, I remember things. This was before I believed my negative thoughts and manifest. Things just
Yeah.
got more intense. Things were shutting down. I was like, ah, this really is me. Like talk about a wake up. And I felt like it was one of the worst things that could happen for me, but it was one of the best things because it really made me ignore. I had to ignore to stay normal. And like, you're right, like everything is instant. Like, and I had done this even before I understood any of this stuff. Remember when I was telling you on the phone where one time my well, he's my current beloved, but I won't say his name just cause, but my current beloved wanted to break up with me, and I had believed this was before I knew Neville, and I didn't know they were us pushed out. But I remember I'd read in a book. It was like kind of like an LOA book, but not. It was like if he wants to break up with you, just tell him okay. I don't want to be with someone that doesn't want to be with me. And I remember very confident when I said that. And I believed by saying that it would save our relationship. This guy is going on and on for 15, 20 minutes why he wants to break up with me. Within a second, his tone completely changed. He got really quiet. And I just said to him, it would really hurt me if we broke up. But you know what? It's okay. That's what you want. I accepted what was happening. I wasn't fighting it. I trusted that it was going to work out. Literally seconds later, the guy's like, well, I love you because of this. And or he didn't say I love you right away, but he was like this and that. Like, you're an amazing girl. And I understand that I was just wrong about this. And I was just like, seconds later, he was about to dump me, telling me all the reasons why he wants to be with me. Like, remember even the story about the same beloved that I had read that other amazing book. It's actually a decent book if you can use it from a, like, Neville standpoint. It had said if a guy ever says something you don't like, ignore it. Like, just be like, if they say something like, I think at the time my beloved had said, I remember when he had said to me, he's like, this was on Valentine's Day, guys. This was like, I didn't react, which was good, and I didn't label it.
Yeah.
He's just like, I don't know if I want to be in a serious relationship right now. I don't know if I want to get married or have kids. And I had read in the book that another woman had a similar situation, and she looked at her boyfriend and tilted her head and was like, well, baby, can we just enjoy the moment right now? I really don't want to ruin our night. And they never talked about it again. And a year later, she was married to the man, and he actually talked about it at their I think at their wedding, like when he was giving the toast, how that's how he knew she was the one. I mean, think about it. You could say ignored circumstances, accepted circumstances. It could be a lot of different words. Like you don't define it. Same thing happened to me. I
You
remember
don't
I'm sitting there
define
in the
it.
moment.
That's it.
Oh yeah, yeah. In that second when we're in his car, I remember I'd given him a gift. He said this to me, and I'm like, oh shit, this isn't good. And I remember I tilt my head, and I'm like, baby, could we just not talk about that right now? I'd really just rather we just really enjoy the night. The guy is basically telling me, I don't know if I want to be in a relationship with you. I don't know if I want to be in a serious relationship. What, a week or 2 weeks later, the guy's like, I love you. Like, ignore circumstances. Just ignore, accept. You get what I'm
It's the same
saying. Don't
concept. It's
label
the
it.
same concept. It's again, think about it like this. Think of it like if you're the gatekeeper, it's not what happened that matters. You're the gatekeeper. What happened was there because you're blocking it from entering your heaven so that you're there to correct it. So if that's the case, then it's not necessarily ignoring it because you want to acknowledge it so that you can change it. But it's not about ignoring, bypassing, or anything. It's just, I'm not going to define it yet. I'm not going to freeze the moment yet, because if I freeze it here, I'm preserving the opposite thing that I want, and that's where I will live. And that's what we have done unconsciously our whole lives. So if we're not doing that, like Maria says, it's kind of like ignoring, but not, because you still want to acknowledge it's there, but you do ignore it long enough to redefine it. And then you allow your own vessel to change the reality. And they're so similar that if you don't know, you've already switched states. You've already switched states. And so that's why, like she said, it's important to notice even the smallest detail out of place, because the two worlds look, parallel worlds look identical. They have to. Otherwise, it would be too much of a shock to your brain. Like if you're suddenly in the park and, and then, I don't know, instantly you're in Bali. Like it's a shock to your brain. So the realities have to look similar. And I say that only because I teleported across a lake and it was a shock to my brain. And it was just a small lake,
Why?
it was
I
a
am not.
small lake, but I teleported
Yeah.
across that bad boy, and instead of 45 minutes to get back on a paddle boat, it took me 5 minutes to be in front of that house, and it freaked me out, even though I was super excited about what happened.
Isn't it?
Right?
Is it? Isn't it insane? Remember when, I'm not going to get into the specifics about this, but remember when I told you when we first met what my biggest fear was?
Yes.
And recently, it doesn't matter what the information is or what the circumstance it was, I kept kind of revising in a way. And we're talking like it had to do with my beloved, but it was a situation that I did not want to manifest. It would have like haunted me. And this thing haunted me for like over a year, up until quite recently. I recently saw evidence that none of that ever happened. And it doesn't matter if it did or didn't, because I created a reality where I may have created it. But the beautiful thing is, because I've shifted so much, it doesn't exist right now.
That's right.
And I know that, I have confirmation of that, and it doesn't matter what it is. I don't want to like even give it energy, because like it's
It
even
doesn't
talking
exist
about
anymore.
it
It
makes,
did matter.
yeah, it's dead matter, but makes me feel icky. Like I don't want to
Yeah,
go there.
yeah, yeah.
I've been digging in the garbage. Like what's the point of digging in the
Yes.
garbage?
Yes.
Like no point in.
Something Maria came up with that was really good is I think it was you, Maria. You said the potter never asks the clay what it wants to be.
No, that wasn't me, but that's a
It
good one.
wasn't you? Okay. So someone said this to me and it was such a good conversation. I thought it was Maria. There's this whole concept of, if you're the potter, why are you asking the unformed matter what it wants to be? In other words, why are you letting the clay dictate your life when you, as the potter, have the ability to dictate the clay into what it's supposed to be? And this is true, it's been true from the beginning. If you remember the Gospel of Thomas, it points you back towards the creation of Genesis, because it tells you the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning. That is the biggest clue, meaning that you have always had the ability to name everything. So then if you preserve something that you were meant to change, that's why it's standing outside of you, you do get to enter that, and it's not pleasant. but you have in the same instant the ability to name it something else and enter that state. And that's what Maria has been doing consistently, consistently. Like she's queen of this. And so, like, that to me is an awesome testimony because can you imagine not having to be stuck? No one would ever stick to a conspiracy theory ever again. Ever. Like, why? Not when you know you have that kind of juice.
Well, and the beautiful thing is too, and I'm going to only use Jennifer Ramdale's example in this just to kind of help you guys understand like how there's no limits to this. There's a story where she talks about where she had a specific person, and I don't know if you've ever seen this story, but she manifested a third party, the girl getting pregnant, whatever. We won't get into too much details, but she started to believe that the guy was lying. She's like, he's lying. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real, whatever. I've seen also many other testimonials of other people saying this. And I know a lot of people fear this. This is a fear that some people have. And I'm bringing it up because I think we've all been there. Guys, just pretend it's not there. Just, even if it has, say it's someone else's kid or whatever. Like there's, even if the kid's already born, just be like, nope, that's not the baby daddy. That's not the baby daddy. You can change anything. There's no solution to no problem. And I'm not trying to like, this isn't to scare anyone. This is to give you hope. Like I remember when I read that on Jennifer Ramdale's blog, I'm like, this girl knows what's up. Like I had never read that on anyone. And he was a little bit of a player, totally all me pushed out, 100%. He ended up dating a mutual friend of mine and got her pregnant. Okay, guys? I'm pretty sure he was the baby daddy. I'm not 100% sure. But he may or may have not been, but she was kind of a hoe. But whatever. Like, that's the old story. I'm not going to hate
Old
on her because that
story.
was
Not
the
anymore.
old story. Yeah, me pushed out. I don't have any, I'm trying not, well, I'm not, I don't have any beef with her anymore. I'm not going to. At the time, I remember I was really deeply hurt by this because I was still in love with the guy and I was, how dare she date my friend, blah, blah, blah. You know, all of us. And I remember just this being such a crazy fear of mine. And then I remember just being like, she's lying. There's no baby. Like, it's not his. I just believe that. Guess what happened? I found out later by my cousin. So what happened was I actually started to believe she was lying to hold on to him and that it wasn't his kid. It was probably someone else's. She ended up miscarrying. Like, the baby didn't go to full term because I didn't believe it existed.
And
It didn't maybe.
it may have been that. It may have been one of those tactics where she said she miscarried, you know? So, I mean, you
Yeah,
never know.
it could
Could
have
have
been
been
that
anything.
too.
You
But
could have been perfectly right. You could have entered that state, where
I honestly do think she was pregnant, but I think it was someone else's, and I think it's because I believed it. If I had believed it was his, it would have been his.
yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes,
and it
yes, you
ended up
enter
where
the
she didn't.
state at will. That's it.
Yeah, and then I even believed that she did. She wasn't pregnant anymore. She was lying. And then later on, my friends like, no, there were like literally reports from the doctor the girl was pregnant, and I was like, ooh. And like it was funny. I had thought about this recently, and I'm like, oh my god, I totally wished a baby away a long time ago. Didn't even realize I did it. Like we are doing this all the time, and this was way before Neville. This was like 10
You
years
didn't
ago.
even
This was like
know. It was, yeah,
no.
there was no
You believe
malice. Yeah,
no. It was definitely
yeah.
no malice now. But even now, like you don't have to wish that person malice. You could just be like, no, it's blah blah blah's father, or there's nice
You
ways to do it
enter
with
that
love.
state. If you convince yourself, you enter that state, and you,
A hundred
that's,
percent.
that's the biggest thing I want to convey, you guys. I think what it is the reason 3D is an illusion is because it's malleable. But until you understand that 3D is malleable, you are subject to it. That's what you were told in the Bible. You were told the matrix looks like this. You're going to be enslaved, there're going to be some things, and there's, and all the story that you got. That makes our 3D shadow. Okay. But if you understand that it's malleable, then you understand how it is an illusion. That is not to say that it didn't happen. It's just that there's a new moment and new moment and new moment because creation is eternal. So if you have that kind of power, why stick to something that doesn't serve you? Learn how it served you, move on, add value to it,
Yeah,
keep going, keep exploring, but don't get stuck or think
true.
that, oh, my situation is impossible when you're the creator.
I mean, I'm literally telling people here, like, you can make babies go away, like, or
Yeah.
make it someone else's father. Like, and I'm not saying this to like bring anybody up, and I hope it's not triggering anybody, but it's just to give you hope that regardless of what's going on or what you're seeing, you can change it. You can change this. And like the moment you start believing it, you start seeing it. After I started believing it, I started seeing all these examples of it. And this can apply to anything. It could be a job that you lost or whatever. And I mean, you may not, I mean, like, I think it is better to accept things in the moment, but you can literally even go back to the past and believe something so much that you will even forget about it. I've heard this from people. Like Jennifer Romdeos talked about this. And I talk a lot about her because I love her and I
I
respect
love
her,
it too. No,
because I would have
100%.
never met you without her. You know,
Yeah.
like she,
Yeah.
because I had come to you for a different reason about my mom, and we'll just leave it at that because that's kind
Yeah.
of a controversial thing for some people. But uh, yeah, like
She
if she had
recommended
never,
me.
yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and I think she's just as enlightened as you are. Like she's
Yeah. I
an
recommend
amazing,
her always. Yeah.
yeah, she's
100%.
a great blog, great podcast, great person to listen to. Yeah, that's 4D manifesting.
Hmm.
If you ask me, because
Hmm.
3D would be like, oh no, you can't do that. That's immoral. It's like, who gives a shit? It's your world. Paint a
It's
new
not that,
picture.
it's your world. It's exactly that. See, what I want you guys to understand is this, okay? Maria just left one reality, but there were 100 others that existed as well. So it's just in her world, she has control over the whole universal conception. So she can go wherever she wants, which is true if you understand you have universal dominion. You're not hurting anyone, you're not doing anything, which means you get to enjoy being an avatar, a tiny little avatar, and you get to enjoy the hell out of your experience, but you never have to suffer again if you're willing to own who you are. You're willing to understand that 3D is under your control. It is subject to your dominion. You were told this from the beginning. I'm
Oh,
not,
100%.
right?
100%. Oh, well, I mean, a good example of this too is remember when I entered God's state and I went walking that one night? Remember?
Yeah.
I felt all that. Like when
Yes.
you're in pure God state and you're really remembering who you are. Oh, chai cheese. When you're in God state and you're really remembering who you are, guys, you don't doubt anything. You don't really have negative thoughts. And even if something pops up, you're just kind of like, bullshit. Bullshit.
Yes.
You're like, no, this is complete and utter fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
not believing what's popping up. I remember that night. I think I said to you the next day, like I was in God's state for like a good consistent day, and I was like, Cindy, it's so weird. I have no thoughts. And then even if I even if I had a question, it just like downloaded. Remember, like
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it's that in the Chase. Do you see what Chase is writing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
F it.
Yes.
Sorry. I love Chase. He's so amazing. Yeah, it's just, it's so instant. Like when you're coming from that state, it's like you don't need anything. You don't even desire anything. And like we
That's
can
it.
tap into that in any moment. Like just talking about this right now is putting me in God's state. My heart's so open. Ooh, should we talk about the
You
heart
feel it?
opening stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So the thing that's helped me a lot, like I don't know if you guys I mentioned it earlier, but did I mention it earlier about like accepting something and giving it love versus hating on it? So I think there was a point where I was really struggling with negative thoughts, and Cindy taught me. Well, I heard Cindy's talk on one of the lives, and it was like someone had clucked me over the head, and it was like, just accept something and send it love. And I started to do it. So if I would be thinking about a third, or if I'd be thinking about some bullshit, all right, thank you for bringing the, I'd close my eyes, put myself in the state, like kind of like think, like put my hand near my heart and be like, all right, I'm going in my heart space. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. This is what I would do. I love and accept this. And then I would say, I would imagine even kissing if it was a person, on them on the forehead and being like, I love you. Thank you for helping me remember who I really am. That really
Yeah.
helped. And you don't have to do it exactly the way I'm doing it, but just love it and accept it. And the more I kept doing that with other people, maybe not completely in that way, a little bit different, like with some of those scenarios where the troll was going crazy on me or my landlord was being kind of an asshole or whatever it was. Guys, my heart kept expanding and expanding and expanding. And I started like hearing voices more. And like, that's when the Kundalini experience started happening. So yeah, when you start coming from your heart gets bigger and bigger, and you start expanding and seeing shit and hearing shit and talking to Cindy in your head and like all this other crazy shit, which is awesome. Do it. Like like I can feel my heart being so swollen sometimes. Even right now, just talking to you guys about this, like it just feels so good because it's the truth. It's who you really are. And it's
It's a
that
call
simple.
home.
Yeah, like even here's Chase again. I love bringing him up. We overcomplicate shit. Stop it. Just stop it. Like define what you want. Put like, I know we've all been there, and some of us, I don't really, I mean, some people may agree with this. I don't believe in an appointed hour. I really do believe it's when you can align
It's
with it.
now. God's time is
Yeah,
now.
God's time is always, it's, and every second's a new opportunity. Life without limits. Definitely, Chase. You are making me feel the way. Oh, it's so nice. But yeah, it's honestly, it's just aligning with it, because the difference between, I think, 3D manifesting and 4D is like 4D, you're doing it from the heart. Just go to your heart. Tony Robbins has a saying, stay in your head, you're dead. So true.
It's
Fuck the
true.
brain. It knows. I once had saw a quote, and I actually used to agree with this a long time ago, like, you're, oh, hugging you both.
Yeah.
uh, hugging you too, Chase. There was a friend of mine had once posted, uh, ignore the heart, it's stupid as shit, listen to your head or some shit. It's like, no, your head's
The
stupid as
opposite.
shit. Listen to your heart, fuck everything else. If you desire something, like, don't let your feelings be your enemy, let it be your guide. Like they talk about this in The Secret. Just something doesn't feel good, it's like a warning. You've talked about this. Like, don't go there, don't go there. Like, just okay, let's redirect. Okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable, redirect. Let me send love to it. I know it's not always easy to love it in the moment, and even if you feel shitty later, like, my biggest thing is going back and just rewriting it the way I would have wanted to hear it, or accepting what happened, but being like, okay, no, I'm gonna imagine it more lovely, I guess, is a better term, and accepting it and giving it a better definition. It could be revision, it could be that, it could be whatever, or just accepting it. Sometimes you don't even need to do that shit, to be honest.
Yeah. Think about it like this. It's ultimately at the end of the day, here's the biggest thing. It's you. Why not serve
Yes.
you? You
Yeah,
know?
I forgot that part. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so easy to
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah.
And it is. When you come from that perspective, brain, two, heart, infinity, infinity.
Yeah.
Chase. 100% it is you. Why are you going to condemn yourself?
Hmm.
There's a reason, like you said, like they say, like, forgive them. They don't know what is the exact
What
thing?
they're
Forgive
doing.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one fucking knows. We didn't even know. And even if
We
you have one
didn't.
of those off, yeah, even
Yeah.
if you have an off moment, forgive yourself. I've been like the biggest queen of beating the fuck out of myself. No, no more. I'm done beating myself up. For what? Everybody's you.
Yes.
If you can't see your specific person as you, chop off their head and imagine your head on it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying actually kill them. I'm just saying, like,
No,
imagine
but
their
get
head.
yourself in that space by whatever means possible, right? Like
Yeah.
in your head space. Like talk to your head in symbols. Talk to your head in
Or
symbols.
how about when you finally realize, remember the immersion that I had where I realized my person is me?
Yes.
So, should I talk about that? What do you
Yeah.
think? They're ready for
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
So, another thing will happen when you're in God's state, when you're thinking about your beloved. I don't even like saying specific person, because that's saying that they're not with me.
God,
My
Jen hates that
beloved,
word too.
my man, my
Yeah.
husband, right? Because he is mine. I don't care about anything else right now. When you realize they're you will hear him laughing in your head, and you will feel yourself embodying his skin. It happened the same night I felt God's day. I'm like, Cindy, why do I feel him inside of me? Why can I picture his face, but like I'm wearing it? Like I can literally think about him sometimes and see where he's at. Like, I wouldn't say like all the time, but in these moments I'll have like glimpses, and I'm just like, oh, he's at work, or oh, you're literally them.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
want, like, to jump in their skin and they're you. Just imagine
Hmm.
yourself in their body thinking whatever you want them to think. I mean,
Hmm.
that's kind of saying that they're
No, it's
outside of you,
actually the
but
same
not.
thing. It's what I told you guys to do when I first started teaching you guys how to make 3D images and how to embody them and how to possess all the bodies inside. That's what I was telling you to do, because all the bodies are you. I was teaching you, or trying to teach you, how to be the intelligence behind 3D and not get sucked up in the 3D material world, because you got to think about this. The 3D material world fits in the palm of your hand. It
100% it does.
It's the size of a
That's
pea. The entire thing, everything that we know is real, fits in the palm of your hand if you take all the air out. So you're allowing that to dictate,
sorry.
right? Like,
I'm laughing because that was the moment my dog shifted. Remember?
yes.
She helped me collapse space and time one day when I was on the phone. And I was worried about my dog having heartworm, and literally my dog is literally like, imagine my dog was right here. A second later, he was on the other side of the kitchen. A second later, because I had shifted, and I was like, and she's like, yeah, you just entered the state. You're welcome. Like, she didn't say that, but she was thinking it. It's that easy. It's that easy.
It is, you guys. This is why John has like a heart attack with me half the time. He calls it floating around the house, but I will just suddenly appear and he's like, "Cindy, I already know you can do this. Can you stop?" Like and I'm like, "You understand that I don't do this on purpose. I just appear." You know? But it's the fact that you guys can do this. Do you understand? Why would we struggle against ourselves over and over again when it's that simple? You are the whole universe. Now act like it. You want to be
Yeah.
God? Now act like it. Don't criticize God. God doesn't exist outside of you. You are the whole thing. Your universe consists of your experiences on display, jumbled up into different patterns so that they look like separate people. But I promise you, that little white pixelated dot, that's Cindy and Maria. Okay, and Chase is here, and Nina is here. Those are all the little white pixelated dots. Those are us. We cannot see them as other bodies right now, okay? But they're the little white pixelated dots in our reality. And when we start speaking into those little white pixelated dots, we change reality. We change it with our word and our vibration, and the whole thing forms into something else, and you literally switch states in an instant. Maria can attest.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can. And you're doing this, you've been doing this since you were a child. Like, think about it. Like, you cannot, we've talked about this too, and I had this realization a while ago, maybe after a Jennifer Romdeo talk. Not surprised I
Yeah,
had it after her.
yeah.
But I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, you cannot move in this cardinal world without thinking about it first. You cannot run, you cannot eat, you cannot brush your teeth, you cannot drive. You can't do anything. I can't wave my hand right now in front of this camera without thinking about it first. That's a manifestation in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Why is there no resistance? Because I don't have any. Because it's what I've been doing since I'm a child. It's automatic. It's already a belief that I can do that.
That's
No,
it.
I mean, it's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes is to think about it once and then you're done. Like,
Mm-hmm.
unless you're, if you're in doubt, then obviously, like, or just create beliefs, that umbrella beliefs that
They kind of
support you,
help
so
you work
those.
around it.
Yeah, yeah. Or just persist.
That's it. That's it, you guys. So I was just going to say one last thing, the importance of dropping things in an instant. The reason that Maria's manifestations happen so quickly is because she thinks about them, feels them real, drops them. She doesn't think about them again. She doesn't worry about whether or not it worked. This never crosses her mind. And so then what happens? The very next minute when she least expect it, person switched instantly. Like she's got a teleporting dog, you guys. Come on. Like we can't make this up. Right?
I know there's like things that happen to me now, and I'm like, wait, I woke up and my ways looks completely different, or there's now a Salvation Army where there another company where there used to be a Salvation Army. What the is
Yeah,
going on?
that's right.
It's like it happens all the time. And even if you are having doubts, it's okay. It just persist. Like, or just change your thoughts. Like Chase says, like, get really specific about what you want and just like try to live it as much detail as you can. Like, or just change your thoughts, do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Like my mind still goes to thoughts. I mean, that one day with the paperwork, I manifested it like that. I still had doubts. I had a ton of doubts. But I was just like, okay, no, I'm not going to believe that. And I know my negative thoughts on belief. It's the belief behind the belief that is like, right, that manifests. So it's like, create really good beliefs to protect yourself, or not protect you, to kind of like as a safety net to catch that crap. And then just learn to try to like switch your mind if you can. Change the channel. How many times have I heard in my head, if I'm struggling, you're like, Maria, change the
Use
channel.
the
I'm like, all
channel.
right, I'm
Yeah.
change the channel. And that's not meaning bypass what you're feeling, but like at least like feel it. And at least at the very least, if you're in a really shitty mood, cut your head off. Like just feel what you're feeling and shut the mind off. It's that simple. I would say the
Yeah.
most important thing is self-concept. Like just try to be more conscious of what you're thinking. And the more
Mm-hmm.
you do that, you'll become a pro at this. It gets really easy at a point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It
for
just
sure.
grow. growing that muscle, the heart muscle and the brain, paying attention muscle. It's about it. Those are the two that
Yeah.
honestly I think are the most important. Would you not agree,
Yeah,
Cindy?
no,
I
100%. Because, you guys have to think about it like this. Your heart and your mind together create the 3D projection outside. So if your heart and mind are not in alignment, you are going to get a crapshoot outside. If your
right.
heart and mind are in alignment, you're going to enjoy your experiences. This happens with or without your conscious consent. But if you understood that it's under your control, why fight it?
Why doubt it?
Why
There's
doubt
nothing
it?
to there's
Yeah,
nothing to doubt. Yeah, like,
yeah.
and if for some people it's not visualization, it's scripting. For other people it's just saying it once, or affirmations, or I don't know, creating a fake text message in your phone that you got your SP called you, or you could even, there's apps where you can create
Anything
fake
you do to
posts.
convince yourself, because you're the only person
Yeah,
you have to convince. That's the
exactly.
biggest
Or
thing,
you know what I did
right?
for Valentine's Day? I created a post where me and my beloved, I thanked him. And it felt amazing. I only made it for my eyes to see, but it was amazing. I was living in the end.
Yeah.
Do those kind of things. It'll help you. Whatever helps you, and then do what you love. I think Chase was talking about this too, and you've said it too. Like, just you said the best thing to do is stay in peace.
Hmm.
And by doing the things you love.
Hmm. Because peace is the power behind the universe, you guys. And once you achieve this kind of peace, there's no stopping you. Because now you've seen that, first of all, you're the operant power. And second, if you declare something, it happens in the next moment. You just have to drop it. So everything's so instant that you stop desiring things and you start really thinking about what you want. And now that starts happening. And you realize what it means to renew your mind and enter a new world. And that is huge because you've always been able to do it, but no one explained it like this. And here we are, right?
Not at all. Well, I think you also get to a point where you're just embodying and really being in the moment and loving yourself and being at peace, that you almost don't even have desires, and shit just comes to you too. It's happened to me too, where I'm just like really in the moment, really enjoying myself, and like boom, someone I miss calls me, or boom, a coach I hadn't seen in 3 years, boom. It's just like living in God love state, and you're just like, whoa, I ain't even trying to do this shit. How cool. You there, Cindy?